right. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Wherever you are, East Coast or West Coast or somewhere in between. We have Rob Lingle from Tourstone who's going to talk about his group travel platform. And I think this is going to be relevant for a fair number of people in our alignable group. And Rob, thanks very much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Paul.
So go ahead and take it away.
All right. Well, so everybody, thanks for joining so far. Again, thanks, Paul, for the venue. It's been good to kind of follow along and see what the conversation is. I'm someone who I'm a problem solver. I'm an engineer, so I'm always interested to see what issues people are coming up against and try to be helpful. So today I'm talking about Tourstone. It's our platform that really handles the entire business. There are a lot of platforms that do tickets, but Tourstone has been built from the ground up really to optimize the business end of things more so. Next slide. All right, so a little bit about me. My development agency is called None Such. We build web and mobile apps. Specifically, we kind of focus on process improvement, digital transformation, legacy app replacement. I got my career working for the Department of Defense over 20 years ago as a contractor, and it was a really good time to come into a place where they had a lot of paperwork processes and a lot of forms and a lot of spreadsheets, and help them turn it into an application and get notifications sent out and really minimize the actual work you had to do and the amount of trees you're cutting down for paper. About 10 years ago, I started working with a tour bus company here in Savannah called Kelly Tours. Kelly Tours has grown a lot over the time that I've known them. We got started doing student travel in particular. So this is taking your fifth graders to Washington, D.C. For their class trip, or taking seniors to Disney World. They also do group travel, and we've expanded and added some capabilities for that area of concern. So things like who wants to be in a room with each other, and over time we've just grown. We've really never stopped adding features, and so I'll go through some of those today. But we're now at a place where we've had two companies that have used Tourstone. Primarily Kelly Tours has been the real driver. They're the ones who kind of invested in development, and now we're looking for new customers. I think we have something special and different, and I'm learning marketing, right? I'm an engineer by character and by training, learning to get this thing out there and get it in the hands of more people. Next slide. Okay, so I just want to go over really quickly. So what does make us different? As I mentioned, there are a lot of different ways to sell tickets. I think, for example, Fair Harbor, I know a lot of folks use them. That's a great way to sell tickets. There are just kind of a lot of those different booking platforms, and that is a part that we do. We do have a way to sell tickets and set your pricing. We also do recurring payments on top of that. That's kind of just the starting point for us. I would say about 5% of the application is actually for customers and for selling tickets. The rest of it is for your office. And so some of the problems we're trying to solve are all of the different systems that I've seen people use put together to try and run their business. This typically happens when a business gets to a point where they're successful, but they're feeling growing pains, right? So they've got a growing number of spreadsheets. They're sending a growing number of emails between each other and with the hotels and the different venues that they want to take travelers to. And so we're looking for some way to kind of bring this all into the same system. The manual processes, again, those email and spreadsheets, that's not really the job anybody signs up for. You want to design great trips and you want to give people great experiences. You end up bogged down in the minutia, right? And so we're trying to get you out of that. Legacy systems. So, I've kind of mentioned, again, Fair Harbor is a great solution when it's the great solution. There are other solutions like Coach Manager. I'll get to that later, where that can be a great solution for charter management. We're trying to modernize things, right? We want the newest, slickest approach, and we want something that you can really use with minimal training, right? We want this to be kind of self-explanatory. And then professional tools. So one of the cool use cases we've had is we had a company that was just getting started. And so it was a group of 4 people how do you come across as professional? You're 4 people, you're just getting started. You don't have a great website, probably. You don't have a way to do online payments. You don't have a way to do reminders and notifications and send out messages to travelers in flight. So kind of how do you manage some of those things? And that's where Tourstore can help you look professional from day one, because we've been doing this for a long time, and now we're giving you these tools. All right, next slide. All right, so just to hit some of the highlights of our group and student tours part, this really is the highlights. I mean, I'm gonna hit some of the high notes. This is something where if it's of interest to you, then we can get into details. But there are so many features. I'm just not going to be able to cover them all today. But some of the things we do are booking and payment deadlines. We use this to help set up recurring payments. And so if you tell us when people are allowed to book until, then we will stop showing them the booking page after that. And if you tell us when the money is due, then when they set up recurring payments, we will make sure it's all on schedule. We'll send them a reminder. We'll help you send reminders manually if you like, when the deadlines are coming up. We actually kind of calculate the payment scheme on demand. So based on when they're booking and when the money is due, we'll divide it up and give them options. If it's available, we'll let them do bi-weekly or monthly payments, as well as a kind of pay as you go. We've also got one for invited payers. So folks will use this to maybe invite the grandparents, or invite a friend, or invite the other parent who might be in a different credit card. They can help pay for this trip, and so they'll get a notification. They'll be allowed to sign up. They will see this trip, and they can easily make a payment there. We have waitlist, and this has an optional fee. And so what we've found is useful is you might say that a trip has a capacity of, let's say, 50 travelers, and then once it gets overbooked, you don't want those people to go away, right? And it would be nice if they had a little bit of skin in the game. So you can put, let's say, a $50 waitlist fee on that. And then from there, as soon as they book, once there's room, you can kind of notify them. And when they book, we'll automatically transfer that and take care of that payment, so that gets applied directly to their booking. So that's kind of, right, we're just trying to help you continuously grow the tour as you need to. Insurance reminders, and so I've seen this on everything from cruises I've taken to other stuff, but we've got this feature where if you have an add-on, so you can add different add-ons. You can add anything from, if you want to sell t-shirts or koozies on the trip, you can do that. If you add insurance to the trip, then we'll add little, I'd call them nags, but we're trying not to be rude about it, right? But reminders, this is important. Here's how much it costs. Are you sure that you want to book this trip without insurance? We'll make sure that that goes through as much as possible. Travel advisories, and so this would be things like, if there's going to be a lot of walking, then we'll remind them. If they need to wear, I've seen fancy attires as an advisory that is used on some of our trips. And so these are things that you can add to a trip, add to your system once, and then anytime you need it, you just select the option and you add it to a trip going forward. And I'll show you in a minute, but we bring that to the customer's attention when they're booking. Allergies and special needs, and so this would be things like dietary guidelines, or if they do have special needs, we give them a space to mark this out. And then when they appear on the traveler list, we'll make it easy for you to see who that affects and to get some details, right? And then access for teachers and escorts. With the student trips in particular, we'll have teachers might want to log on and make sure that all of the students are paid up. And so we give them access to a limited set of the functionality that staff has, so that they can see who still owes money and reach out and make sure that's taken care of. And then on trip too, we give you tools for things like just marking somebody as present, right? You just want to make sure that somebody's on the bus. We have a presence marker for that. All right, next slide. And this is just to give you kind of a taste for how the user interface looks. Starting from the left, we've got, this is the intro booking page. For each trip, you can add a header image and a side image. You can see up at the top, that red note, that's gonna be just a reminder to them that this trip is almost full and they should go ahead and book. And at that point, and actually, if we were on the interface, when they click add a traveler, at a certain point, the system will know when there's no more room, and it will tell them, well, we can't fit your 3 travelers. Would you like to book 2, or would you like to put 3 on the wait list? And if they want to put 3 on the wait list, then we just go ahead and jump forward. We'll take a payment if we need to, and then otherwise they'll just appear on the wait list. And you've got an easy way from the staff side to send them a notification when there is room, when you've added room for the trip for them. And then the yellow dialogue underneath the blue button, that's our advisory there. So that's where they'll see information that on this trip, for example, there's a lot of walking, and so they need to be prepared for that. I forgot to mention on the last one, we've also got passport and driver's license requirements. And so if there's a flight, then you can say that we need to have their legal name, and that we need to have the one that matches their driver's license. We'll remind them of that. If you say it's international, then we'll remind them that we need their passport information to be valid, and that they need to check that off with the office if they don't have it in yet. Okay, and we collect things like emergency contacts. This is optional, and something I'm not going to be able to show here is that all of this is customizable. So, well, a lot of the behavior of the system is customizable. The branding that you'll see on the website is customizable. The footer is all customizable. We don't make this about us. So in the footer of the website, you can put all of your custom information, links to your socials, right? All of that sort of thing. In the middle, this is our insurance snag, and so that's that big yellow box is the dialogue that we show. If we haven't seen you click the add-on for insurance yet, and we know it's on the trip, then we're going to remind people that it's important. We do recommend it, and they'll need to check the box to say that I've seen it and I don't want it, right? So they need to take that proactive step to sort of decline insurance. And then at the end of the booking process, you'll get your payment options. And so, like I mentioned, based on the schedule, based on today's date and when the payment is due, this is what is due today. So this trip has a $100 minimum deposit. We're going to collect that much. And then beyond that, if you want to go ahead and automate payments, then we can do bi-weekly or monthly. We've got ACH payments now too, so it's not just credit card. We can't do ACH recurring, but we can do credit card recurring, and we can do ACH payments if you want to encourage people to do that. All right, next slide. All right, charters. So charters here, we've been helping Kelly Tours. They would like everything to be in-house, and I like the idea of having everything sort of in one master system that controls everything. And so we're trying to replace Coach Manager for them. It's an older, if you haven't seen it yet, it's an older access database system. It looks dated to me. It's very dated and very difficult to use to my eye. It's because it runs on a system, it's kind of you have to VPN in and then remote desktop to the application. So it's not really a web-based solution. So we're working to replace that, and we're trying to make this as easy for them as possible. And so we're using kind of some of the same paradigms. We've got, for example, drag and drop assignments. So I'll show on the next screen, but if you design a trip and you say that we are taking people from, let's say, Savannah to Atlanta, you are going to put in the times that it will depart from the garage, times that you will do pickups, the time that it will arrive, the time it will, right? All of these things go into your movement. And then now, for example, you might have said, we will need 2 52 passenger buses. And so then based on the requirements, the system will help you to make sure that the right drivers with the right driver's licenses that are not expired, we check all of those things, are assigned to the trip. And we'll make sure that the right vehicles with the right type and the right number of seats are assigned to the trip. You are in control, we're going to assume that you know what you're doing, but we will warn you if you want to make overrides. For example, if you want to put a smaller bus in, or if you want to add an extra bus to the trip, we will let you do all of those things. But we do our best to kind of help you not make mistakes, right? We want to make that as easy as possible to just do the right thing. So that's the assignment part for vehicles and drivers. Recurring schedules, and so with charters now, the difference here between group travel and charters is that typically you're sending an invoice. So this might be that you're going to take the college football team from campus to the airport, right? This is not something you sell tickets to. This is something you invoice the school for, and so we help you with that. It might be something that you do once a week. It might be something you do several times a week. And so we make it really easy to set up your recurring schedules. And when you do that, we'll automatically copy over those same assignments, right? We'll assume until you change it, just to make things easy, that it's the same vehicles and the same drivers going on that trip. PTO request, and so as you assign drivers, you want to make sure that everybody's available, they're aware, they can log in and see their assignments. And if they have a need for some time off, then they can make a request for that, and you get a chance to approve that. And then payroll. So payroll is we don't handle putting the money in their bank account yet, but we do handle crunching the numbers for you, and so that you can say, based on, if Rob is driving and his rate is whatever it is per day, and I said that this trip is worth 2 days, we can make sure that he's paid. You can add things like tips, and other little sort of one-off. You can add per diem, things like that, right? All of that is taken care of and will be rolled into the payroll for the period that you select. And then, as I said, invoicing. This is just building the invoice out. I think I've got a screenshot in a minute, but I haven't shown it yet. Is one of the really cool features I think we have that I haven't seen elsewhere is the ability to bill your trip and calculate your pricing based on your reservations. And so whether that is a group trip where you might add your hotels, and you can tell us whether it's like a per day cost or a per traveler cost or fixed costs, we will help crunch those numbers. Then we will suggest to you that you should price the ticket at this much, based on the markup that you say you want and the cost that you've given us. We will help you crunch those numbers. Invoicing is the same. You would configure it for the number of drivers that you want and the number of vehicles that you want, the type of vehicles, and then we can add those to your invoice, right? So it's just a kind of a one-click, pull those into the invoice, and now you click send, and that goes off to your customer. And then they can make payments. Like I said, it's you can record checks or cash if you like, but we also take credit cards. We let staff take credit cards, and we do ACH, right? Staff can make the same payments in the way the customers can. All right, next read. Okay, and just a little glimpse at some of the charter functionality here. So on the left, we've got our assignments. So here I'm showing, these are 2 different movements that are happening on this one day, this, I think, or today, April 16th, because I pulled this in today. And from that right side, and I apologize for the size here, but on the right side, you can see those 2 names up at the top of the list. They're already gray, they're green, and that just tells you that they are assigned. If you like, we have a filter, so you can see only drivers who have no assignments, only vehicles that have no assignments. You can see only drivers or vehicles that are in a specific location if you have multiple offices. And then you can just grab those and drag them over. And then, like I said, if they are, apologize for the light here, if they're, because we have expiration dates on their licenses, we actually do med card and driver's license, right? The class and expiration dates of both those things. We give you warnings here if they are going to be an issue, and you can resolve that with the driver. In this case, what it's showing me here is that orange bus, the orange vehicle on the right side, that is showing me that it's not the type that was requested, right? So this movement actually requested, you can see that it says a 52-seat motor coach, right? And what I've dragged in is an ADA bus, right? That's not gonna match. But it gave me the opportunity to, it made me aware that I was making an override, and then it let me drop it in, and it's still gonna tell me here through the color that it is an override, that this is not what was asked for, but it's what I've got. And then down below, I've got the green bus dragged in on the next line. That one did match the spec, and so it just dropped into place. And then all of this stuff, so if you have 100 movements for the day, it will all be summarized up in that top left corner, those buttons up there. They're telling me that for each type of vehicle, here's how many I have, and here's how many are assigned for this day, right? Just helping you keep a quick overhead look at your inventory and see what everybody's up to today. And on the right side, I'm just showing you some of the details of how, when you run payroll, we will give you the option to view all the details. We'll give you the option to edit how much the trip is worth in terms of like days or hours, and we'll give you the option to add things like gratuity. Like I mentioned earlier, you can add gratuity for one driver on the trip or all of them, right? So you have the opportunity to kind of really customize how folks are getting paid here. It all ends up in the list, and then you can export this really easily to a CSV, and you have a record of what you've paid and where that calculation came from. We also keep track of things too, right? So let's say the trip spans over a payroll period. We'll keep track of that, right? We'll make sure that you're aware that they've already been paid for, let's say, half the trip, and we're only paying for half here. So all of that goes into the notes of the trip. All right, so that's for charters or coaches. All right, next slide. And then staff tools. These are things that are not really limited to one trip or the other. These are things that they're available for the staff to help you do your job more easily. So group lists, all right? Group lists let you very easily put folks into different rooms or groups or on buses. So if you want to arrange which travelers go where, you can do all of that. Hotel rooms in particular are interesting because if, let's say, there are roommate requests, right? You'll have access to that. So you can put people in the same room. Now that you've got all your rooms arranged, you click a button and you can send that list in a PDF to the hotel. You can add a note if you like to, but we've already gotten from your reservations you've added on the trip. We already know what time you plan to arrive, and so we can go ahead and send that information to them. If we have the hotel's email address, we already know the email address to send it to. And so this is something that's it really is just kind of click and send and get the hotel room list sent over to them, get their approval, make sure they've got the rooms reserved for you in the right locations and whatever else you need. Diet and special needs lists. We've asked the travelers, right, for any special considerations they need, and so we summarize that for you up at the top, just to make that super easy for you. Some of the trips that Kelly Tours has done, they might cater lunches, right? And so you want to make sure that you know which travelers have a nut allergy, and so we make it easy for you to find that information. Reservation checklists. All of the reservations that you add to the trip, so whether it's a hotel or a venue you're going to go to or a restaurant, you have the option of adding the time that you'll arrive and the time you'll depart, right? And so that's all there. The checklist is built to make sure that it is booked, right? Have you actually called the hotel to make this reservation? Have you called the venue to make the reservation? This generates a to-do list, and you can have a reservationist assigned to each trip. They'll be responsible for making sure those things are done. And at the end, everything ends up sort of reconciled back to the books, right? So we have a way to mark it as something needs to be done, something that is already booked, whether it's paid, once it's finally been reconciled, right? We help you track the status of all of those things from start to end. And then staff bookings and payments, just to kind of re-emphasize, right? Like, you don't have to have people come to your website and do bookings. If you prefer to just take it over the phone or take it by mail, that's fine. We've got very capable tools in the back end for creating new bookings and managing your payments that way through your staff. All right, next. Okay, and again, just kind of a glimpse at some of these pieces. I'll start from left. This is the pop-up, and the screen behind it is the rooming list. And so initially, I had all of my travelers for the trip just kind of listed out. I clicked on a few of them and added them to different rooms. I've still got, it's like 6 people that I need to put into a room. But you can click the send button, and it'll pop up this little modal that I show on the far left here. It already knows which hotel it's going to. It already knows when you're going to arrive. You can add some optional notes if you like to. You can add details about how many rooms you would like to reserve for not just travelers, but for the driver if you need to do that. And then you can go ahead and click send, and that's sent off as a PDF to the hotel, and you'll get that taken care of. Then moving on to the right, it's kind of the issues notes. So this is a way on each trip, you can have notes just for that trip. So if there are problems you've had to work through with a customer or things you need to be on the lookout for with the customer, you can add those issues there, and that's available just for staff. Anybody can see this. And we show these in a few places. You can actually see this from the grand tour list at the first thing you'll see really when you log into the site. You can see the issues for each trip there. When you go into the trip and you look at the travelers, you can see the issues there. It's all just kind of different places to represent this conversation and keep it out of your email, basically. So moving down to the right from there, this is a glimpse at the reservations list. And so this one, I've built this one out with by pulling in different hotels, the drivers that'll be on the trip, and it's kind of showing some of the calculations. I did clip off the numbers because I'm using a little bit aged but live data here. And then I can also see up at the top I've got this 16, right? This area is my calculator. And so I can say that based on a certain number of travelers and a certain, my capacity for the trip is now at 16 people. That's why it's guessing that. But based on a certain number of travelers and based on a certain markup per day, here's how much you should price these things, right? And so now it's taking into account the fixed costs, the per person costs, everything else. It's adding my markup, and it's recommending these prices for the trip. And so then I can go and create those tickets, and that will be shown to my customers when they go to the booking page. And then on the far right, we've got just kind of the dietary restrictions here. And so I have one traveler who did need a special diet, and so she is listed there. And if there were anybody else, they are also listed. We've got everything from nut allergies to lactose intolerant to diabetes. All of that stuff is kind of taken care of for you. And we collect that information from the travelers, right? It's not really, we're not trying to lean on the staff to put this in. We want the travelers to help you help them as much as possible. Next up. Okay, then reporting. We've got a lot of reporting. Everything you've seen a list for is available as a download, but reporting is a little bit different. It is also available as a download, but we do a lot of it, right? We're very attentive to obviously how money is collected and how money is spent. So when you go to the payments list, you can filter it. If you want to see vendor payments only, you can see that. If you want to see customer payments only, you can see that. If you want to see payments that were received on a certain date or for a trip that departs on a certain date, we have different ways to filter this out. If you want to filter by the salesperson on a trip, we can do all of that. Each transaction that you see here, if it was a credit card transaction from the customer, you've got an easy way to click and refund. We use authorize.net, but we can also do Stripe if that were a special need on the back end. You can refund the entire payment or part of the payment. Yeah, so that's all kind of taken care of for you. All right, next slide. All right, our sales reporting. Now here we're gonna break things down and we're gonna help you understand what you have booked, so how much money you have coming in, what your costs are, how much you have going out, and we can kind of think forward for the future. So here's how much you're still expecting to receive, and here's how much you're still expecting to spend, right? And so we're helping you kind of keep on top of things before we don't really want you to be looking back a month later to figure out what your margins were, right? We want you to know in real time as much as possible. Again, very filterable data. So if you want to filter by tour date, all sorts of things. If you want to see just a specific trip, you can do that, right? So lots of ways to see and parse the data here, and everything downloadable if you need a spreadsheet for additional number crunching. Next slide. Forecasting. So forecasting is kind of like sales, but it's more forward looking. So here we're basically running simulations. We're saying, if you want, we can crunch these numbers for the next, let's say 3 months, and we can crunch it based on who is booked now. We can crunch it based on maximum capacity of each trip, right? You can make an assumption that you're going to fill the trip. We can crunch numbers based on a number that you enter. If you just want to say every trip, we're going to assume about an average of 45 travelers, then we can crunch those numbers for you, right? So we give you lots of different ways to kind of, look into a crystal ball as best we can, right? and see how we think numbers are going to come out based on all the information you've given us so far. All right, so that's our forecasting. Next. And then salesperson performance, here we break it down. So for each trip, you're allowed to assign a salesperson, right? In the same way, you really have different people who are in charge of different aspects of the trip. The salesperson for us they're the person who is in charge of making most of the edits to a trip, especially once it's sort of in a approved state. And so sometimes companies will want to pay commission. And so we're making that easy for you. We will crunch numbers and say, here's how many trips, given a certain window, right? If I wanted to say for the first quarter of 2025, I can enter those as my date filter. And then I can say, okay, based on those dates, then I can say each of these people, they have this many trips and they brought in this much money and there's this much money still to be collected, right? And so you can make those commission payments as needed. All right, next slide. Okay, and that's it. That's my high level overview of some of the strengths of the Tourstore system. I'd be more than happy to answer questions about it. I'd be more than happy to give a demo and show you in person. We can also set you up with a demo account if you'd like something to click around and see. I really am just trying to learn how to do sales and marketing here. So I'm really interested in sort of how this hits for people if they are using something different. I'm curious what you're using. That's it. I'm an open book right now.
All right, Rob, thanks very much for that. I thought that was a very good overview. I do have one initial question for you. What types of companies or what types of tour companies are you really marketing to use this? Is that I kind of sounded like you had a range from new companies to established companies, but what approach are you taking with this?
I think it's those two. There's the new entrant who understands that it's better to use a proven tool than to figure everything out for yourself, right? And so you want something that's kind of bootstrap your growth, help you look professional, help you make those sales, and help you scale. There's also this kind of company that I think Kelly Tours was when I met them, right? They had been around for a while. They were getting by just fine. They were doing okay. They had a growing number of offices at that point, and they were having logistics problems. They had a system where it was kind of homegrown, made with Access database, and if it failed, I mean that was bad news for everybody. And it was becoming more of a headache and more of a threat that it would go down and cause issues like that. And so we're looking for those companies that want to invest and get everybody on the same page, right? We've also seen with Kelly Tours we've seen different salespeople wanting to calculate pricing in different ways, and that's problematic. It can be best to have everybody kind of running on the same operating system, so to speak. So those are the two ones for us. I think most people who are upstream of Kelly Tours, a lot of them seem to have their own solution, or they have so much kind of invested in tools that it's a big hurdle for them to switch over. So right now I'm looking for people who don't have tools, or people who are growing and feeling some growing pains from the tools that they have right now.
Gotcha. All right, I do have another question, but I want to wait to see if anybody else has a question they want to ask first. Don't be shy, people. Networking, it's about talking, you know? Hey,
Hi, I'm Mia Hart, and I have a home-based travel agency, and I am fairly new in the market, and I ran across do you have a CRM navigation system that is compatible with others?
I'm sorry, if it's compatible with what?
Yeah,
with other CRMs where you could combine your CRM with yours?
With other CRMs. So right now we don't. Is that right? Just make sure I'm understanding. You're asking if we integrate with different CRMs?
Yes.
Okay.
Where,
Right.
okay, but it's like a, mhm,
Is that correct? That's the question.
yes.
Okay. So right now we don't have any tight integration with any CRMs. We have done in the past. We had an integration with Mailchimp. I'm open to opening that back up. But for right now, what we do let you do is to export your users, and for each user, they will be automatically tagged. So when they book a trip, we will tag them with the type of trip they went on, and the trip number. And so then if you want to import that into a different system, you can more easily kind of filter them out in different ways, right? So you can use that to augment any CRM. It is really our goal for now.
Okay, that sounds awesome. So I just want to get a more clear understanding of your company. Is it basically a touring company that offers um, uh, chauffeurs like similar to Kelly?
So Tourstore is not a tour operator at all. We are a platform for tour operators to make their business run more smoothly, right? So this is available to anyone, right? That's kind of what we're here for today. This has worked well for Kelly Tours, and so I'm offering this to anybody who thinks it's interesting and who thinks it would help them grow their business. I would love to show you around and help you make use of the tools. I think they're very powerful, and I have not seen this combination of features anywhere. I've seen pieces of
Okay,
it,
that
right?
sounds wonderful.
Yeah, but no, we don't operate tours. We're just the software.
Oh, a software person. Okay, I understand now. Okay, that sounds awesome. Thank you. And with your software, I know you have mentioned that you were trying to create a database that is that help you join. Okay, my question is, with your database, is it your goal to have it where you could join the hotel and maybe the navigating place that you're going to, their systems where I don't know what to. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm okay. Let me take a stab at that. Right now you will build your database of your vendors, right? So if you have a contract with a hotel or with a restaurant or a venue, an attraction, you can add all of those. Like you can add the ticket prices to our system, and then we'll make it easy for you to pull those into each trip, right? We don't want you to have to enter the same information over and over again. And so you'll add one copy of, the hotels you go to, and whenever you want to use them on a trip, you pull them in, and we help you crunch those numbers more easily, right? More consistently. We have talked in the past. I've gone to a couple of conferences now, and I'm interested in talking to some of the different venues and getting them added to a system so that everybody can kind of share access to it. But we're not there yet. For now, is just you. You will add your own contracts, your own vendors, and we will then help you crunch the numbers. And that is actually totally optional. If you don't want to use the whole vendor system, you don't have to, right? You can have whatever price for tickets that you like, but if you want to have the system kind of keep an eye on all of your costs, then you would want to add your vendors, pull them into a trip, and record payments to the vendors, right? Then we can really crunch everything, all the ins and outs of your company.
Thank you. That's all of my questions. Is it possible I could place in the chat my email address?
Absolutely.
And you can reach out to me anytime? Okay,
Yep.
perfect. Thank you. I will have to drop off after this.
All right.
But thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Hey, thanks, Mia. Okay, Rob. So my next question for you was, what is the pricing structure for this product?
Yeah, we are feeling it out. So we have kind of two main packages. We've got the coach piece, or the group piece, and the charter piece. You can do one or the other, right? So we just find that some businesses are mostly about group tours. They don't really want to do all of the invoicing and payroll and stuff with the coach side. And so we're not going to make you buy in the whole system. Right now, I think we're looking at about $1,500 a month for either, and about 25 for both. We're also open to, like, if it's a small company, we're open to an arrangement, especially as we're trying to get out the gate. And if that means that we're sort of billing you afterward as a percentage of bookings, we're open to discussion. Right now, I'm kind of in a position where I need more people on board the system, and I'm willing to virtually give it away. Right. My long-term interest is to grow the system and get my ticket prices up, but until I really understand what the pricing is and what the demand is, I'm not going to draw a hard line anywhere.
Okay, that's good. I think that's a good approach too. I'm going to talk to you afterwards about this. So,
Sure.
all right, John and Mark, do you have any questions that you'd like to pose to Rob?
This is Captain Mark here, and no, I'm good. We are. I always enjoy listening and learning. We are with Fair Harbor,
Okay.
for better or for worse.
Yep.
And actually, it may be for worse right now because I'm getting a call, which I've been waiting for, and I'm sorry. I told them to wait until 1, so I need to leave for a moment. Or at least mute myself. I beg your pardon. So sorry.
I'll answer this. So check the recording later.
Yeah, exactly.
But just a little piece about that. One of the things that didn't make it into the slideshow is that we have something that we call day trip bookings. And so this is something for more like, we're not going overnight. We don't need all the travelers' names. We just want to sell you tickets. And so we do that too. That way, in that case, we don't require customers to log in. All we ask is how many of each ticket do you want, and what is your credit card information, and you click pay. Right now, we've added those kind of virtual travelers to the list. Under the customer name, we've collected the money, but we haven't taken up anybody's time. We're kind of lowering the barrier, and that is to approach some of the Fair Harbor demand. I think there's still some features. I mean, I think they've done very well, and they have a lot of features that we don't have yet, and we're not really interested in. But things like our day trips would take care of some of those. Buy immediately, get on the trip, get on the bus. In Savannah, they would use them for things like a trolley tour, right, or a walking tour or something like that.
All right. Any other questions? All right, it appears not. But Rob, thanks very much for that overview. I think that was a nice comprehensive flyover of the product, and I think that's going to be quite useful for a lot of companies. It's just getting yourself out there. So I hope this has been a good for you to be able to share with everybody.
Yeah, I appreciate the time. It's been great.
All right, well, we'll wrap it up for now. So just a note, we will not be meeting in 2 weeks. I'll be in Nevada. So we'll meet back up in about a month. Sign up on the Group Travel Networking page and interact with everybody. And, you know, if you want to present, you can do what Rob just did today. So just sign up on the spreadsheet and we'll get you set up. So have a good day, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.